Welcome back to the Javelina 100. I'm Chris Warden with Andy Jones-Wilkins. We're continuing our series of interviews out here at Javelina headquarters, and we're joined by another trio on the couch, and I'm really looking forward to this because some of you I know, some I don't, but I've seen all of you and your handiwork. So we've got Brett Hornig, who's usually on this side of the microphone. We've got Joe Corcione, who is no stranger to this race and also does some media work as well. And somebody who we just got to see in action just a few weeks ago out at Run Rabbit Run, Tara Dower. Welcome to Javelina 100, folks.
Thanks for having us.
How's it going?
Thank you.
JW. Good.
All right, let's jump right in. Brett, what have you been doing for heat training up there in Ashland?
I know winter came a little bit early this year. Last year it was 80s all the way up till the race, but this year it's been a lot of indoor running on the treadmill, like no fans, just getting nice and sweaty. I'm a big believer in like movement in the heat, so that's been the main thing, and we'll see if it works tomorrow.
And the forecast looks favorable, sort of mid-level heat.
Yeah. I think it's similar to last year. It'll feel warm. Like if you don't do your cooling protocol, it'll come back and bite you, but I don't think it'll feel like, like a Western States 100 type thing. So.
And Joe, you probably would have won this race if it had been last weekend, because it was still in the hundreds last weekend. You're a Phoenix guy. I assume you've just been doing what we all do out here.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, I always consider like any time someone looks at the forecast for Javelina, they live in Arizona, you are crossing your fingers for the hot temperature, right? So when I saw it was a little cooler, it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, it's going to be a little fast. So I was praying for the hot heat, but it looks like it'll be a little cooler this year. But it's also too, I think from an Arizona perspective, you do go through these summers of just training in like 100-degree heat, even when you're waking up at 5 a.m. So even so, like I am really excited to get out there and experience like 82 degrees, because to us, it even feels a little chilly. So it also kind of works in that favor as well. So I'm really stoked to get some cooler miles in, like for being in the Phoenix heat for so long too. And I've still been on the heat protocol and everything, so looking forward to a cool day for the Arizonans out there.
You're telling me Jamil sent the thing to our group chat the other day that it was going to be 50 at night? I was like, I'm double puffying this thing now that we're at outside studio.
But
all right,
it's a dry cold. It's a dry cold.
Virginia Beach just crushed a race in Colorado, but it was cold late night at Run Rabbit Run. How's your heat training been?
It's okay. I mean, it's not the best. It's funny. I guess I forgot that this race was hot. And I was looking at String Bean's post he did a couple weeks ago. He was talking about his heat training. I was like, oh, crap, I need to do that. So about 2.5 weeks out, I started going to the sauna. But I live in Virginia Beach. It's humid. It's still a little warm there, so yeah.
Have you gotten a chance to scout the surface out here? Is it something that you feel comfortable with? Is it more technical, less technical? Is it going to be no problem? Or
I like to think I'm pretty good with technical terrain, but that's like East Coast technical terrain, and I guess like Run Rabbit was technical in areas, but I did Black Canyon this year.
Yeah, so
Well, I thought I knew, but going into that race, I fell so much. I had blood like streaming down my hands when I finished, and towards the end of the race, I got all like intense. I started wiping it on my face, and I looked coming into
this is like a warrior look, is what you're saying.
Coming into the finish, I was just like bloody, and I thought I could do the terrain, or I thought I could perform well in the terrain, but I fell a lot. So I'm hoping I can come into this race with more respect for the terrain and just take it a little more easy in the beginning, because that really did throw me off in the beginning. So much.
So what you're saying is that you actually left it all out there, like including a little piece of yourself.
On for sure. Yeah. There was a woman behind me that ran into a cactus, so at least that didn't happen. It could have been a lot worse.
Well, that's why you carry a comb out there to make sure that you can flick the choyas off. Now with you two, you had what I would consider to be relative near misses on golden tickets last year. You both finished in the top 10 last year. With that in consideration, was that race a success for you even still? And how do you improve upon that this year to try and maybe chase down that elusive golden ticket?
Yeah, last year was, I think, the best race I've ever had. So I was 100% committed to just never doing another race ever again, and like MJ go out on top. Well, on top was like 4th place, but I was like, this is never getting any better. But it's taken a full, like just about a full calendar year to like get the fire back, the stoke back, to be like, maybe maybe that could happen again. And then it's like, okay, there are a few little things. Like there's not much to change. I think it's just a little bit of race day execution. And I like to think that now knowing what it took last year to have a good race is going to help for this year. Like, okay, I've been there, I've done it, I could do it again. Like I can wrap my head around it a little better. So I think from a mental component, I'm in a better spot this year. And I think, everyone's fit. It's just a matter of like who can make the least amount of mistakes tomorrow. So that's like the biggest reason why I'm back. So like I think I can just do the next like few percent to really make it like a perfect day. Plus this is just so fun. Like I was gonna be here no matter what, whether I was racing or not. It's either I'd be in this couch or on that chair.
Oh, I figured you were running this race to avoid being a part of this. Like,
No, I originally was gonna do the 100K and then finish and then grab a microphone and do like course stuff for the final lap and a half of the 100 mile, because Jamil thought that would just be funny to see like what was going on up in here after 100K. But then it turned into just trying to go for the full 100 mile.
And Joe, you had a great race last year. That was your 100-mile debut to us, right?
Second race, second 100 mile.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can you improve upon that? And what lesson did you learn last year that you're going to apply this year?
Yeah, great question. So I was super stoked about last year's opportunity. I mean, like that was the first time I'd ever kind of gone into a race, and I would really put myself out there. I was notoriously known to be very vocal to go after the golden ticket last year, and didn't really have any good results to my name. So I just kind of put it out there and pushed it all, and was able to get a top 10 finish. And for me, like that was so awesome. Even though I didn't get the golden ticket of what I wanted, I was just really grateful because I've been running for 5 years, and to like see that kind of progress, to put myself out there and get the result that I did, I was super grateful and just excited about that. I did say, however, if you look at my splits, did not run a very smart race. I mean, like I think my split was like a 25% positive split. So first two, I was in that lead pack, and then I really battled some extreme leg soreness from loops 3, 4, and 5, and so it was kind of holding on for dear life in the last 3 loops, which is a long time to hold on for dear life. So a lot of the things that I've learned in my training and kind of applied is pace smarter. So almost every single long run, I was either pacing evenly or pacing negative split, just so I can practice being able to be patient in the front and going at the end. And it's interesting because a lot of times, you look at the stats, you look at the field of where it's at, and people say like go aggressive, you got to take risks and everything like that. To me, this race is about being patient and then closing strong at the end, and that's what I think is going to be great. And it might not be great for other athletes out there, but I know that'll be the best race for me, and hopefully that result yields a golden ticket. And if not, like I at least want to make progress on last year, because I always say even if you don't get your main goal, as long as you're making progress, there's some fulfillment and lessons that you can always learn and take away from that.
Yeah, I have to admit, Joe, because I saw some of the chatter on social media leading up to last year, I was like, man, this guy's calling his shot here. And I have to apologize, I was not familiar with your game. So, I was thoroughly impressed with your result. I thought you had a great race last year. Even if, positive splitting and everything, I still thought you did a great job for what it's worth.
Thank you, Chris.
Tara, in your case, my concern would be the turnaround from a very competitive, high elevation race such as Run Rabbit Run. Have you been have you had this kind of turnaround before, and have you been preparing in your eyes in a prudent manner to basically run another 100 just 5-6 weeks later?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I'm not really worried about that. I did the Colorado Trail in July, so I did set the FKT on the supported going from Denver to Durango, and then I did Run Rabbit. So that's a big effort going into Run Rabbit. And honestly, I didn't think, coming off the Colorado Trail, I didn't think I'd be able to do as well as I did, and I did. So that's great. And I've done several 100-milers. My coach is Carl Meltzer, so I kind of learned from Carl
he knows a thing or two.
To run how to recover, but how to recover and then run a 100-miler well. I feel like that's not my biggest concern. I think my biggest concern is maybe the heat. Yeah.
Will Carl give you a free month for doing that plug just now?
I hope so.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I also wrote a review for his new coaching company that he has, so hopefully
See,
adds another month.
And you had the street
There you
cred.
go.
Absolutely.
There you
So
go.
you're doing him a solid on that one. Hey, Brett.
Okay, that's it. We're done talking about Meltzer.
Brett, Who's going to be the fastest person that works in an Ashland running store here this weekend?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the race within the race, because while I have the faster time on this course than Hal, Hal's rebuttal is, well, you didn't win, and that's fair. So I think I would take a slower time and a win over a really fast time and not winning.
You guys have all three kind of gotten on a topic that I love about this, the unique nature of Javelina. There's a couple things. The party, of course, the desert, sort of late season heat. If we've been grinding all through the year, it's for some athletes, it's sort of late in the game. But also the multiple loops. Multiple loops is not for everybody, right? I mean, we know we've got some great races in the United States, Rocky Raccoon, Umstead, Javelina, there's some others. But it's a unique animal coming by your crew every 20-ish miles, where your car, where there's, heaters if it's starting to cool down. We'll start with you, Brett. How do you wrap your head around the multiple loops versus what a lot of us enjoy a lot more, the point-to-points or one big loop? And what are some of the tactics that, say a mid or back of the packer might want to employ in something like this?
One of the things that helped a lot with the loops that I learned, because I think last year was the first looped trail race that I've ever done. That was multiple laps. Yeah. And I learned that I really liked it, and I benefited from it hugely, because every time I started another loop, I was a little bit more familiar with it. So I was able to break the loop down into smaller and smaller chunks the further I was into the race, which really helped with accomplishing like small process goals. So the first loop, it's dark for a bit, you get to watch the sunrise, it's cool, that lap kind of flies by, you run the little extra squiggly bit, that's very nice. Lap 2, you're starting with the heat, the cooling protocols, you know where all the aid stations are, but that loop is now a little bit shorter than lap 1, so you get to run another new section. Lap 3 is the one where you're like, okay, I really got to focus up. Now I know where all the bits are because I just did lap 2. I can visualize much better, like all the turns and little hills before getting to each of the aid stations. So I was never like lost on course. Sometimes you get deep into, it's happened every time I've gone up Devil's Thumb where I've been climbing for like 2 minutes and I'm like, I got to be at the top. And then I look and I have no idea how far I actually am. With the loops, I was able to actually be able to like visualize myself on a map, like where I was, and like that helped so much with just accomplishing little goals all the way. So I'm really looking forward to the loops, and maybe that comes from like a track and field background and doing lots of little loops already.
How about you, Joe? Multiple loops. I mean, you've been here before, but how's that compared to like a point-to-point or a big single loop?
Yeah, 100%. So it's funny because last year, I think nearly every weekend for like 3 months, I actually ran the course out here and was doing all my long runs. So like, I think by the time I was like actually out there doing it last year, it was like my, 40th time running it, 40 to 45 fifth time running the thing. So by the end of it, I actually crossed the finish line. I was like, I'm never running this trail ever again in my life. And here we are again 1 year later. So this season, I actually have not been on the course as much. Granted, I've been traveling a lot, but I've been making it more of an intention to like build the stoke. So when I am stoked for that. But for anyone kind of listening, last year, when I was going through it, I caught myself at loop 3 kind of going into the loop and thinking like, man, I have to do this again. And I remember reframing in the moment and saying, instead of dreading it, I looked at it as an opportunity for me to get better on my prior loops. So instead of saying I have to do this again, it's now I get an opportunity to be better. And so by seeing it as saying like, okay, you get another chance at being at this loop, you have that chance to improve. And that's exciting because when you see something as like dreading, right? I have to do that loop again. I have to do that climb to Jackass again. I have to do that again. But it's like, I have an opportunity to do that climb better again. I have an opportunity to, bring it home a lot quicker. I have an opportunity to get out of that aid station quicker. That opportunity to get better and make progress, it made me so excited to keep pushing on, even when I was like miserable and, was sick of seeing like my 10,000th cactus out there. So, it really just framing it instead of the dread to the excitement of progress on doing that same loop again really helps me to just get that multi-loop mentality.
And Tara, how about you? I think this might be your first multiple loop race, or
I've done Umstead.
Oh, you've done Umstead.
Yeah,
okay.
with Devin when she
crushed
yeah,
it.
she
that was like
crushed it.
2021.
2022.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
2022.
Well, these loops are huge compared to Umstead.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Umstead, that drove me crazy. You're super motivational. I was getting pumped when I was listening to you. I was like, wow, I could do this. I don't know. I was trying to think of a inspirational answer. I was like, I don't have anything. But that's the fun thing. Yeah, that's the fun thing about this race. I'm going to learn and go into it maybe making mistakes and hopefully getting better as I go doing the loops. I don't know. We'll see.
Tara, how do you win this race? How do you get that golden ticket? What has to happen for you in order to have that successful day out there?
Yeah, I think an advantage I might have is just going to like a really dark, excuse me, really going to a dark place and being able to continue. I've done a lot of hard things, I think, comparatively. I don't know, everyone's done hard things, but I've gone to some pretty dark places. I've done a lot of races. I've done a lot of tough FKTs on my own in the middle of the night for many miles, and I can go to those dark places and come out of it. I go to this place in my brain, I kind of like separate like my body and my brain, I kind of go somewhere else. So I think for me, that's the advantage, and winning for me looks like just doing that and just keeping up a consistent pace.
All right, Joe, how about you? It's been a long time since the locals won this race on the men's side. I actually was trying to rack my brain about that, and it's been ages. What does it take for you to bring the title back home here to the Valley?
I know, it's me and the Diamondbacks trying to bring back a title here to Arizona, so I'm trying to channel some of that Diamondback energy out there for sure. First of all, Tara, I love what you said, too. You're inspiring as well, because it is, you do have to go to this place, like Tara was mentioning, that dark place where it requires you to level up to a part that maybe you haven't even seen yourself on a trail, or maybe you've been there before and you know it requires you to tap into that area to get to that next level. And so for me, like a lot of people have been asking, like, are you nervous, or what's kind of like been your mindset? Like for me, I've just been preparing myself to get to that dark place like Tara mentioned, because I know that's what it's going to require to me. But I think even beyond that dark stuff for me, it's that deep level of trust. Like you were mentioning before, I'm still vocal about the golden ticket. You look at all the previews and out there, like my name's not on the list. Like I totally get it. And so for me, it's almost like that thing to say, okay, like doesn't matter what anyone else is thinking. I have to believe in myself. Like I have to show up to that start line thinking that I can 100% fully win this race. Not I think I can win this race. Maybe I can win this race. It might go well if I have a good day. No, I will win this race. If I don't show up to that line believing that, it's a 0% chance that I'm going to win that race. And I truly believe, like, once I step on the line there tomorrow, I can get a golden ticket and punch it to Western States.
And Brett, it's been a long time since the winner came from Ashland, Oregon. So what does it take for you to bring the championship back home to Oregon?
I mean, it's easy. You just run 100 miles faster than anyone else.
You know what? That's the kind of analysis everybody came here for, right, AJW?
No, I think
Brad Hornig with another hot take.
There you go. No, I think it's just controlling what I can control. Like, if I run my best race and someone beats me, there's nothing I can do about that. I mean, that's something good for them, you know. Hopefully it's hell then.
Well, you came so close last year. Was that your best race, or do you think you have another gear that perhaps you can unlock? Because you came really close last year. I mean, you had an amazing run last year.
Yeah, and that was, I think, one thing that I've definitely been reminded of was that, like, try not to compare last year to this year too much, because last year was, like, so many unknowns. Like, I was full ready to be blown up by, like, the end of lap 2 and, like, drop out or, like, just walk the rest of the race. Like, there was so much risk that I was just, like, going for it. And I think that, like, having that, like, naiveness was good for last year. But then because I was actually able to see it all the way through and not, like, cave to those demons, you know, yanking at your hamstrings and your quads on lap 3, I think that's going to give me good strength for this year, being like, okay, I've been there, maybe I can go a little bit deeper. Like, maybe I can focus up just a little bit harder, you know. I think you know, and before too, like, just the efficiency of the race. And I think for this year, I think whoever wins this race this year doesn't pull into the lead until the last lap. Like, I think that's going to be a norm coming into, especially this race and just a lot of races as they get more competitive and there's just more people in it with, you know, a lap to go, where I think, you know, it's harder to time trial your way to wins now, where if you do it, you'll just pull 5 people with you, and then it's like, who's going to be able to race at the end? You know, like the infamous, like, Dakota Jones, like, stops to take a pee. Like, that was just so he could get out of the lead. And then he went and played his cards, like, oh, I've been leading a little too long. and then he kicked. Like, who kicks at the end of a 100-mile? Like, I think that's just the way we're going to start seeing races like this, especially ones that are so much running. So that it turned into a really long answer from you just have to run 100 miles faster than anyone else.
I'm good.
I guess that's one of the things that talking about the leader not coming out or basically coming in at the end, because we've seen the last couple of years the person or people leading at this race at laps 1 and lap 2, they're not there at the end. Like, a lot of times people will burn themselves out on this course, and it's so easy to do because there's such a temperature differential. You get out there, you obviously you're wired and you're thinking, you're going to set this pace, and then all of a sudden at 2:30 in the afternoon, it is cooking you out there. Like, you're roasting, and all of a sudden you realize that pace that you maybe thought was, where you were going to settle in, it becomes untenable. And then even if you're able to move beyond that, when it drops 35, 40 degrees out there, all of a sudden you've kind of got to recalibrate your body, because all of a sudden you've got some other energy issues that you didn't maybe account for at that time. I guess, lastly, what are you looking forward to beyond the actual running itself? Like, what about this weekend are you most excited about?
Well, I'm on the East Coast. I don't get to see the people that I'm friends with on social media and people I've met other races on the West Coast or in Colorado, Arizona. I made a lot of friends at all of these races, and I don't get to see them but on social media. So I've just been seeing all these people that I've been friends with for quite a while. So that's what I'm excited about. I've seen a couple faces around. I'm like, got to go chat with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Joe, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I share that same perspective with Tara. I think there's just so many people here from different backgrounds, right? There's some of the best runners in the world, and some people are doing their first 100-mile, and some people are just enjoy the love of the sport. It's just so cool to meet so many people, whatever their background is, whatever their skill level is, who are all passionate about one thing, and that is trail running. And how cool is that? To just be at this celebration beyond just a race of just loving, pushing ourselves in the desert, having fun on Halloween weekend. I mean, can't think of anything better than that. So I'm always just so joyful and just so grateful just to be here around this energy and this atmosphere. And even when I see people I know on the course and we're cheering each other on, just those small moments. I remember last year, it was just someone who would just listen to the podcast that I do. I'd never met them before. They would say, hey, I love your podcast. That's awesome. I said, hey, thank you so much for the support. And we were running for a little bit, and we had never met each other, but it was like we'd known each other for years. And you get that experience here at Javelina, especially on that course where, you're seeing people all the time. And there's no race that warms my heart more than the Javelina 100, and that's what gets me stoked about this.
Brett, what are you looking forward to outside of the running?
Yeah, I mean, it was just seeing all the people. I was coming out to this race whether I was running or not. 'Cause, be with my little Aravaipa family, hanging out with my Salt Lake crew. I feel like I have little honorary living spots all over the place now, and that's really all happened in the last year because of so many of these Aravaipa races and the live streams and stuff. So it's one way or another I'm going to be at these races. But I figured after a year of live stream stuff, I should probably stand on a start line.
Well, we talk a lot about the community in the sport, the macro nature of the community, but you really feel it viscerally and personally here on Javelina weekend. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These are 3 runners that I've followed. Prior to last year, I had never met you, Brett, but over the last year, we've done so much coverage together. It's been great. Tara, we saw you at Run Rabbit Run, and it was really exciting to follow your race there, and now to get to meet you in person has been fantastic. And Joe, obviously, you've been a part of the media space for a while now, and really we've never actually spoken at length. So, this is actually a great opportunity as well. And I hope that those who are out there who have never been out to Javelina, whether you're running, whether you're pacing, crewing, just a fan of the sport, come on out here and check it out, because you get to meet some great runners, some great athletes, and also just be a part of one of the most amazing community events that you'll find in the trail running space.
And it's absolutely, bar none, the best race to crew for.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the only problem is you have to pay attention to your runner 4 times.
Yeah, you just
but
gotta,
aside from that, it's just awesome.
You just got to make sure that
that's
they stay upright so they can keep you going. So.
Yeah, it's an easy work day. Just like 15 minutes over the course of 12 or 14 hours.
Well, I think that's all we got for.
That's a wrap.
Best of
Thank
luck
you
to the
all.
3 of
Good
you.
luck.
We'll see you
Have
out
a
there
great
this
race
weekend.
out there.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for letting
Appreciate
me
it.
crash
All
this.
right.